Hi, welcome to RodneyABrooks.com. I have a special guest today. We're talking with Ethel, prominent attorney Ethel Mitchell, who specializes in estates and trusts. She is based in Silver Spring, Maryland, but she practices also in Washington, D.C. And Virginia. Now, Ethel Mitchell also has a radio show called Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell on WOL FM 1450 AM and 95.9 FM on the radio dial. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, now a lot of people say they don't have estate plan because they think it's out of their price range. Now, and without, you don't necessarily give me how much you charge, but give me a price range for what it would cost someone. I mean, from the very
Well, let me do it this way.
Okay.
Let me do it this way. If you don't have a will, if you don't have an estate plan, your family is going to pay 3 to 4 times more to get the property that you're trying to leave them. If you don't have a will, probate is really expensive. It really is. I'm not kidding you. It's some people can do it themselves. I'm not saying you can't, but it's very difficult. The courts are very difficult, and that's true in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, because we do probate also.
Okay, so
So it's
and
more expensive.
Yes,
Yes.
just to basically explain, if you don't have a will, it automatically goes to probate.
It automatically goes to probate. Even if you have a will, it usually will go to probate as well. But if we do your will, we're going to do as much as we can to get as much of your property going outside of probate. And by that I mean, let's say all your beneficiaries are grown. You don't have any minors, okay? So you got grown children, grown beneficiaries. We'll recommend to you, yes, you need a will because you need something to catch whatever is not given out. We'll recommend that you do beneficiary designations on your accounts. In D.C. and Virginia, there are what's called transfer on death deeds. So that deed says, when I die, this is who's supposed to get it. And it happens automatically. The only thing that we do is a confirmatory deed. That avoids probate. So even if you have a will and you have to file that will in court, we do as much as we can to make sure you don't have to do a whole probate proceeding. And that helps a lot, okay? That works as long as you don't have minors, as long as you're not trying to hold on to something for, like a lot of people want intergenerational stuff. You can't do that with just a will. You can do that with a trust, though.
Okay, and okay, give me your opinion, and this is strictly your opinion on these online
Oh my God,
wills.
I do not like them. I have seen so many of them, and one of the most popular ones is totally inappropriate. It comes out of California. It's controlled by California law. California has community property. It has all kinds of laws that are different from our laws. Also, even stuff online that I've seen, where people go online and buy a will or something like that, we can't get them admitted to probate because they're not proper. They're not signed properly. People will do something and think because they notarize it, that's all they need to do. No, it is not worth it, because in order to get that person's lifelong assets that they worked on all their life, they're going to pay so much more than that online thing that they picked up, okay? I mean, it just doesn't, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
No.
You're making your children have a lot of, or whoever it is, Another thing that, if you don't mind me saying,
go ahead.
When you are alive, a trust is extremely helpful. And by that I mean, a lot of people are living longer, and they're having dementia, they're having Alzheimer's, or maybe they just have a long-term physical ailment. And so they need help. They need caretakers. They need somebody who's going to manage their money for them. And more we're doing trusts for that purpose, because trusts are effective while you're alive. As soon as you sign it, that trust is good, okay? Now, let's say you are, I love the name Robert Jones. I don't know why, but on the radio, you're Mr. Robert Jones, okay? And say your wife died already, but you have a son that you're very close to. His name is Mr. Andrew Jones. And so Mr. Jones is still mentally well. He may be, a little bit less strong as he was before, but he's definitely in his late 70s, early 80s. And so Andrew is close to Mr. Jones. And so they'll come to us and we'll say, okay, why don't we do a trust? But let's name Andrew as well as Mr. Jones as co-trustees. The people who manage your money in a trust are called trustees. So we name Andrew and Mr. Jones as co-trustees. And that means that Andrew can manage Mr. Jones' trust for him. It's not his money, stays Mr. Jones' money, but if he gets sick, if he has a stroke, if he needs to have his house, they put the bars on the bathrooms, if he needs the chairs that go up and down the steps, if he needs ramps. I have clients who bought other houses for their parents because they could no longer, DC has all these steps,
Yes.
a lot of the houses have steps.
Uh-huh.
And so they could no longer go up and down the steps. So they buy another house for their parent, or they buy one of these apartments in the over 55 communities, but they're using their parents' money to do it with. So that's become a big help for caregivers. And I've been recommending that to a lot of people because when your loved one diminishes and sometimes the parents become, and I'm saying parent, I just mean the older person, whoever that is, it could be your aunt, your godmother, whoever it is, when their capacity diminishes, you are there to take care of them. And yet it stays their money. Your creditors can't get to it, and it's only for them as long as they're alive. And still, when they die, it goes where they say to go, you see. So there's a big, I'm getting a lot of that, a lot of help for caregivers for that. And it means that they can use your parents' money to pay for caregivers, for the health aids, for the equipment, whatever is needed, and they're right there to take care of them. That's a huge help for caregivers. It really is, yeah.
So let's talk. When you mentioned the things like the healthcare directive and power of attorney, can we sort of go through them quickly and why they're important and what they do?
Sure. You have the will, you have the trust, and then the power of attorney is only effective while you're alive. Number one, let me just say that, because a lot of people think even after you die, it's still good. No, it dies with you. The power of attorney says, I appoint a person, who's called your agent, to manage my legal and financial affairs. Usually that means you can deal with my bank accounts, you can take care of, they come up in all kinds of strange ways that people don't realize. For example, if you have a power of attorney, I had a lady once who, the cable TV got cut off. Because especially when you live alone, you forget, you don't pay attention to when the bill is due, and so you don't pay them. Well, her power of attorney was able to call the cable TV, fax the power of attorney to them, and then they let her talk to them and pay the cable bill. So there are all kind of legal matters that need to be taken care of as you get older. At any time. Another one was a credit card. Somebody had misused somebody's credit card, and because her child had her power of attorney, faxed it to the company, then they would talk to him. But before that, they wouldn't talk to him, okay? One other thing to know about a power of attorney, it doesn't have to be effective immediately. You can say, my power of attorney is only effective if I am incapacitated. And then it takes a doctor to say, I've examined them and they are no longer capable of managing their affairs. Or you can make it effective immediately. So that's what the power of attorney does. The medical directive does something similar for health care. It allows your doctors to talk to that person, because your health information is private. And so you have to give your agent power to talk to that person. If, God forbid, you become incapacitated, that person can make decisions. They can sign releases. They can determine where you're going to be treated at. Or where, do you go in the hospital? Do you go at a nursing home? All those kind of things that person can do if they have your medical directive. And I've had doctors tell me that the doctors in her hospital would not talk to her because her husband had not signed a medical directive, you know? So it gets to be important. The second part or the third part of it is you say what you want in terms of life support. You know, you say, do you want to be on life support or not? Do you want a feeding tube or not? You know, and what the circumstances are. And that can really be important too, because families start fighting. You know, in my own family, my cousin was, you know, three of the four children wanted to let their mother off of life support, and one of them were like frantic, you know, like, no, you're killing my mother and stuff. And that was going to create a major problem. So thank God she died before that final decision had to be made, because otherwise that was going to be a huge rift in the family. But if you say it in writing, what you want done, then they're just following your wishes, you see, which is a real different situation. Yeah.
Okay, so so let's talk about succession, or planning, basically planning for a business owner.
Aha.
Okay.
Business succession planning.
Yes.
That's a whole different process, which is hugely important. You know, it's different from individual estate planning. You know, you first have to get a good grip on your business. Who are the people who you want to, number one, own the business, and then number two, continue the operations of the business, because that can be two very different sets of people. Okay, sometimes when we have estate planning done for business owners, we'll do what's called a transfer on death of the business to the trust, because you don't want your business going through probate either. Okay, so there's a document in D.C. and Maryland, D.C. and Virginia, I think, maybe Maryland too, that you can do that says, when I die, this business goes into my trust. But the actual planning for the business operation is much different. Number one, who's going to own the business when you die? If it's a family member and that family member is not involved in the business, then do the other owners who survive, do they want to be in business with that family member? A lot of times they don't. You know, a lot of times they're like, hey, look, you're my boy, but your wife, no, I don't think so. Okay, whatever. And one of the things about this work is we tell people, please be real with us. You know, number one, we can't tell nobody, but number two, we also need to know these things so that we can give you advice. So what we sometimes will do is work with a financial advisor to set up insurance policies or what we call sinking funds. Basically what we do is we try to set up a way where when you die, your shares or your membership ownership is paid for, so that the family member, say your wife or your husband, would get X amount of money for your interest in the business. Okay, that could also involve a key man. You know, if there's somebody in your business that's really important, they're the rainmaker or whatever, and if they die, that's going to really hurt your business. So there's what's called key man insurance. Who was the man that you had on? Oh God, what's his name? He would know about all that too. So you have to work with a financial advisor to do that kind of thing. And then you talk about how is this going to work? Who's going to take over? How are they going to pay whoever it is that owns the other part of your firm? You know, so that's a very different process from your personal estate planning. But when you're a business owner, it needs to be done, you know, not necessarily at the same time, but around the same time. Don't leave that to chance, because it can be, it can destroy a lot of businesses too. And then you have to look at the tax issue too. You know, what are the taxes on this? What are the, you know, what's going to be the effect of this?